As a teacher, I believe that I am someone who wants to bring out the best in my students. I am a firm believer that we are all unique in our own way and each of us can contribute to this world. I want to say I am a teacher who wants to enjoy teaching and make it look like it is not a formal learning. It is because I want my students and everyone around me to feel that school is cool and it is not a burden. That's just me as an educator. But to think about my view about education itself, based on my own life experiences, I must say that growing up in a conservative way of learning style, as I was an 80s child, it was helpful in my generation. During the time in the Philippines, it was one size fits all type of learning. It was competitive because parents back home are into high grades and they value education so much because they always instill that education is the only ticket to a successful future. Although I believe in that, and I must say that it helped me become more disciplined and value my hard work in everything I do. Some of these beliefs about education have changed over time for me. After 3 years of working as a nurse back home, I flew to the Middle East to practice my profession. Witnessing the way of life, including education in a different perspective, made me realize other things. During that time, I was also learning through reading and watching documentaries, which gave me a view of the world outside my comfort zone. The more ideas about education changed when I migrated here in Canada. To be honest, I used to see the education system here as one of the best in the world when it comes to standards. At least that's what they are trying to show off, especially to people like me from a third world country. But I was disappointed. It was far from what I have envisioned. I'm not trying to put it down, but since there's so much of expectation on my side, I was not able to see it. As a person who was able to study college back home and also here in Canada, I was given the chance to compare it. Back home is more intense. Every day is a whole day class, while here students only have one subject a day. Anyhow, I managed to shift careers here since I need to study. I chose to focus on children. When I started my ECE course up to now with my child development degree, my perspective about a child's learning really changed. I realized that the conventional way of learning during my time will not work for the generation of today. With new studies and researches, we are now guided with theories and concepts that will help us in our way of teaching and the curriculum that is best suitable for these young minds. That is what I love about education. It keeps improving, just like anything else in this world. My learning helped me develop myself and made me realize the kind of teacher I wanted to be. Just like the Freyran teacher who focuses on students' experiences and accepts and learn individual differences and social-cultural identity. I am an educator who promotes critical thinking and empowerment and boosts self-esteem built on mutual respect and collaboration with my colleagues and students. I have encountered changes in terms of education. As I have mentioned, I grew up and studied back home in a very different way. So my ideas before are very old school. As I mature and come to Canada, which is a multicultural country, my mind was blown away in terms of learning about other people and their backgrounds. I was very eager to grasp a variety of things from the people I meet and from the way of life here. As I learn, I use them to grow as a person and to put together and collect those which are useful tools to make my life better and make myself an educator who is capable of touching lives and someone who can make a positive impact in my community. Toronto is one of the most multicultural cities in the world. So just imagine how much to learn in terms of culture. We can only put together all the positives and learn lessons from not so good ones. From each of these, I can see a blooming society where negativity will never grow and foster. This is what I envision. I know it is hard to expect, but I remain hopeful. Well, I'm not an expert in education. I may not know all the aspects that authorities see, but I can only share my point of view in a critical perspective being an educator myself. I think first it is not just the education system that needs revamping. I think the whole Canadian system needs to change in some way. In my opinion, we need to find out why people, especially parents, need to work so hard to earn to the point that they will have no time for their children. Why am I saying this? Because parents are the first teachers. Values are first learned at home. I don't judge parents, but what I am trying to say is that parents sometimes go for double jobs because it is hard to make both ends meet here. Commodities are high, houses are high, the standard of living is high, and not to forget, taxes are high. We need to know the root cause so that the government can make solutions and people can be able to live a quality family life where children can be nurtured, because we all know that attachment is important to a child's growth and development. Now, let me say my views about what I think needs to be changed in the educational system. I think we are on the right track, but now the curriculum is good. We need to add some aspects in terms of how children of today can thrive in the real world when they all graduate. We should incorporate financial literacy, home economics, set up experience where children can learn to be street smart, because these things are also important. We should find ways on how we can empower them and make them confident about their own selves and identity. Well, we are always talking about inclusion, and I believe that despite the challenges, slowly we are taking steps. We have special education services in schools. There are individualized educational plan for each child who are with diagnosis or having difficulties in school. These are helpful ways to improve the quality of education for each individual. But we must not forget that sometimes this labeling of children do also can result to more divisiveness, so we need to make sure that this will not happen. I also think that the fast-paced changes in terms of technology, we as educators also need to constantly update ourselves with what are the latest, because we want it to be ahead of our students. So, training and development should be done religiously. And don't forget that we are parents, partners in rearing their children for the future of this planet. So we shall always keep an open communication with them to ensure that issues or suggestions are properly addressed. This is because we only have one goal, and that is to ensure the success of their children. Well, as an educator, I can only do so little things, but things can form ripples, right? I want to make sure that I am setting myself as an example to the children. I make sure that I give opportunities for them to learn by themselves and not always spoon-fed. I encourage them to use their voice if they need to say something, because this will give them the confidence that they need. I usually also read a lot and update myself with the latest in terms of new discoveries, and oftentimes I share with my supervisor and colleagues so that they also get updated. I am not afraid to voice out my opinions, which I think can contribute to improve our curriculum or our program. And I'm also willing, always willing, to share my other capabilities to come up with a variety of ways to teach because I love editing and production. I usually collaborate with some teachers to come up with digital stories for our classrooms. Those are oftentimes done on my break time, but you know what? It is a personal choice to do them in order to present something new and something interesting for the children. As I said, those little things can form ripples. From my own circle, I was able to encourage a few colleagues to pursue further studies. Some are willing to collaborate to make digital stories. I am able to open up communication lines with parents, which also allow trust and confidence between each other. I am happy, truly happy, to slowly make a change and be able to inspire. I wish to inspire more people as I continue to learn because